and the judiciary, factors on which the working of those organs of the state depend. The people and the political parties, they will set up as their instrument to carry out their wishes in politics. Regarding the constitution, he said the constitution may be bad. The political leaders are good to implement the constitution. It will prove a good constitution. And if the constitution may be a bad constitution,
कर लीजिए राजेश कुमार.
The political leaders who are in the power are of the good nature and honest, the constitution will be very good constitution. It was the views of the Dr. Ambedkar.
If someone has playing the music or something, please mute. Request.
राजेश कुमार जी प्लीज. राजेश कुमार जी
मोबाइल.
राजेश कुमार को म्यूट कर दिए सरब जी.
हाँ.
राजेश कुमार जी का डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है.
ये स्पीकर है, केवल स्पीकर को आप ऑन कर दें.
बाकी लोग को
yes, okay. Now regarding his nationality and patriotism, what Ambedkar said, for I am of the opinion, declared in the assembly, that the most vital need of the day is to create among the mass of the people the sense of common nationality, the feeling not that they are Indian first and Hindus, Mohammedan or Sindhis or Karnatakis afterwards. He said, but they are Indian first and Indian last. Only he said. And he also said, on the thought of the Pakistan, there was a terror when the Pakistan was carved out of the India after partition on February 1942. The discussion throughout on the Pakistan, B.R. Ambedkar said, we will defend our land. Don't be under the false impression that Pakistan would be able to spread its Muslim empire over India. The Hindus will make it lick the dust. I confess, I have my quarrel with the caste Hindus over some points, but I take a vow before you that I shall lay down my life in the defense of our land. The thunder of applause was greeted with the speech. It was said declared by that I will lay down my life for the country. And I know because he was also a barrister or at law, he had also to contest the case of the poor people without taking any fees. There was one occasion, there was a case when there were multiple murder and several poor people were complicated in that case. They were made accused. Baba Sahib was contesting their case. This is the first and last example in the jurisprudence of the world. What it have happened? An example will bear out the truth of this remark of his intelligence. He had to argue in a murder case in the Thane Session Court as defense counsel on the very day when he was to give evidence before the Simon Commission at Pune. The case was very important as his clients were to be saved from the gallows. At the same time, he could not forego the opportunity of giving evidence before the Simon Commission on behalf of his people. So he pleaded to the district judge to allow him as a special favor to argue his case first through. Legally, he would be called upon to reply to the arguments of the prosecution. So, I want to make clear that what happens in the all people know when there is a criminal case, the procedure is this. First, the public prosecutor, which is called the government counsel also. The public prosecutors argues the case. And he tells,
वो फोन बंद करने के लिए
एक्चुअली यार जरा बाहर कर सकते हैं एक कढ़ाई खाली दे तो हुई खोलने देते हैं पीछे खींचे पीछे खोलेगा आप लोग खोलें कोई भी खोलिए सब बाहर
कैलेश जी अनम्यूट करके बात की है
Okay. The case was important as his clients were to be saved from gallows. The system and the procedure is this, that when there is a murder case or criminal case or any case, the public prosecutor or the government counsel puts his case before the court, and after defense counsel is given the opportunity to serve and defend its clients. Because the public prosecutor has all the documents, charge sheet, post-mortem report, medical report, he put it before the court against the accused to prove his case that the murder has been committed by so and so persons. And it is the rule in the jurisprudence that he given the first opportunity to put his case before the court. But in this case, because Dr. Ambedkar had no time, he made a request to the court that before listening to the public prosecutor, I should be given the chance to defend my client. It was very typical request, but because he had no time and had to go to give his evidence before the Simon Commission, in the circumstances, anyway, the district judge allowed him to a special favor to argue his first, though legally he would be called upon to reply to the argument of the prosecution of the address of the Crown Counsel. The judge agreed, and arguing his case ably, Ambedkar left for Pune, and his interview with the Simon Commission took place as above. And so much confident was Ambedkar of his success that most of the accused were acquitted in this case. It is a great foresightedness, intelligence, acumen of the profession that Ambedkar foresaw how to defend the counsel, his clients, without hearing the public prosecutor first. And there is second instance also, his private secretary Nanak Chandrattu, who was with him in the winter December month. One night, it was 9 p.m. in the night, Dr. Ambedkar dictated 3 letters to Nanak Chandrattu and said, these letters will go to overseas and you come tomorrow and type early and then get me signed and then dispatch these letters. Then it was 9 p.m. in the night. Next day, when Nanak Chandrattu came and he typed the letters and put before Dr. Ambedkar for signatures, Dr. Ambedkar saw the clock on the wall and it was 30 minutes past 9. He said, Nanak Rattu, I had said that you go to your house and type these letters next day. And you have typed these today also, tonight also. Now it is 9:30 p.m. Now look, I am signing these letters and you go now to your home. It is late night. Nanak Chandrattu used to know his habits. He knew immediately that Dr. Ambedkar was sitting in the study in the same posture for the last 12 years. Whole night passed. And it was the 9:30 of the next morning. And Ambedkar thought that is the 9:30 of the same night. Then Rattu said, sir, it is not the 9:30 of the previous night. It is the morning. Oh, he said, no, it is morning. I'm late. So this is the devotion, dedication, engrossment. 12 hours passed. Dr. Ambedkar saw that it passed only 30 minutes. And Nanak Chandrattu wrote the letter after typing within 30 minutes. So Baba Sahab used to read daily 17 to 18 hours out of 24 hours. So it was the dedication and devotion of the Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar, he was so intelligent and he used to know and he could foresee what will happen because he was Bodhisattva. Now regarding the foreign policy, what Ambedkar said and which came true after some time. Dr. Ambedkar speak on the debate on the foreign policy that what he said, the principle of coexistence between communist and the free countries enunciates the principle that the country of foreign policy must vary with its geographical location He advocates a second line of defense that Russia and China should not be allowed to occupy any further part of the free world. He cautioned that India is exposed to aggression by the China. He said, when did he say it? He said in 1954. What said? He cautioned that India is exposed to aggression by the Chinese, says that there is no room for punchsil in politics and not in the politics of a communist country, suggested that we should align the free nations. It happened true in 1962 when China attacked India. He has cautioned it in 1954. This was his premonition, what he said. Now, what he said again, I am telling the point to you people. Dr. Ambedkar, he is a social justice. It was a social justice, just like a Buddha started his social justice from the emancipation of the women's and the downtrodden and the depressed class. On 5th February 1951, Honorable Dr. Ambedkar, Minister of Law, introduced his Hindu Code Bill in the Parliament on behalf of the government. But what happened later on? It could not be passed for several years, and it was kept pending by this or that way. On 27th September 1951, Honorable Dr. Ambedkar, Law Minister, Government of India, utterly disappointed, resigned from the Nehru cabinet because he said, I could not get the Hindu Code Bill passed. So I am not in a position to continue with this government, who is not looking after the interest of its women in the country. It was the nature of the Dr. Ambedkar. Now I come to his Buddhist nature. How could he divert it towards Buddhism? In 1898, Krishnji alias Dada Keluskar published his book Bhagwan Buddha Charitra. On 7th November 19, Bhimrao Ambedkar name was enrolled in the government high school, later named as the Pratap Singh High School at Satara. His teacher named Ambedkar changed Ambedkar's name from Amba Wadekar to Ambedkar. Amba Wadekar was earlier name, so he changed his name from Amba Wadekar to Ambedkar. In 1907, Bhimrao Ambedkar passed the matriculation examination of the University of the Bombay with the highest marks, and he secured highest marks in the Persian language. Dada Keluskar, his teacher, presented him with a copy of the Bhagwan Buddha Charitra as felicitations, and Bhimrao's success in the examination. Rao Bahadur S.K. Bole presented the event. This was the first chance that his guru gave him the copy of the Buddha Charitra. So he came to know regarding the Buddhism. Now, when it was decided that Baba Sahib will embrace Buddhism, now it is interesting. I have discussed with this issue with the Venerable General Secretary also. On 12th October 1956, before embracing the Buddhism, on the 14th October, at noon in Siam Hotel, Baba Sahib talked to Bhikkhu Chandramani, because Baba Sahib was not, I can say Baba Sahib was not satisfied with the working of the Sangh, Bhikkhu Sangh. He was wanted in the real sense. He was wanting seriously that the Sangh should do the work seriously. I will take refuge of the Buddha, I will take refuge of the Dhamma, but I will not take refuge of the Sangha. He refused because he was not satisfied with the working and the sincerity of the Sangha. After listening, and what he said, so by tomorrow, I want your decision. What you can say on this? I will join, I will embrace Buddha and Dham, not Sangh. After listening this, all the monks and Dr. Wali Singh, the then General Secretary of the Vice President, because he was there for the occasion, he was also there, and all got perturbed, and it was a serious, troubled situation. How it will happen that he will not take refuge of the Buddha Dham Sangh? He will take refuge of the Buddha Dham only. Then on the 13th October 1956, Mr. Baman Rao Godbole politely narrated the definition of the Sangha of Buddha and said, Baba, you are not taking refuge of Bhante Chandramani. You are taking refuge of the Sangha, which has been defined by Lord Gautam Buddha. How dare we can exclude the Buddha from the Sangha? The Buddha is included in the Sangha. There is no Sangha without the Buddha. He has established the Sangha. He remains in the Sangha. He directs and directed the Sangha. It was explained by the Vaman Rao Godbole, who was an Upasak. Upon listening, the Baba Sahib reacts confidently, pointing towards the bhikkhus. Yes, this is right. I did not want to listen this from your mouth, but from the mouths of the monk. He was so intelligent and erudite and accurate in his decisions. He never said anything casually. So, when on the 14th October 1956, the greatest conversion in the world to Buddhism at Nagpur, Bharat Jambu Deep, India planet, Mother Earth in Milky Galaxy's solar system, Dr. Ambedkar took the Buddhist vows administered to him and Mrs. Ambedkar by Mahashivir Chandramani at 9:30 a.m. Dr. Ambedkar then administered the Buddhist vows, and there were the 5 lakhs people embraced the Buddhism. It was the greatest number of the person who embraced Buddhism in one event in the history. I can say that on 5th December, around 1 million people had embraced Buddhism while he was alive. On 7th December, at his funeral, after 500,000 people embraced Buddhism on the call of B.K. Gaikwad, the Diksha was administered by Bhikkhu Anand Kosalayan. Again on 9th December, around 1.5 lakh untouchables embraced Buddhism on his ashes administered by Bhikkhu Anand Kosalayan. By 9th December, around 1.6 million people, mostly Dalits of Maharashtra, had embraced Buddhism. So, what can I, now to sum up, what can I say? We are proud, we are very happy that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, without any anger or malice towards anybody, what he gave to India, he gave 2 invaluable gifts to India. What? The Constitution, the democratic secular constitution, which guards the interest of all the citizens. Diversity was there and is there in India, but he drafted the constitution in such a way that the need of everybody was catered. And the great gift he gave the constitution. Second gift, he gave the revival of the Buddhism and the book Buddha and his Dhamma. These were the great 2 gifts. And there were 2 dan, Dhammadan. Dhammadan in the sense he revived the Buddhism and he gave the great book Buddha and his Dhamma, and the Abhedan, the protection. In what sense? The constitution gives the protection to all, and it's give the principle live and let live. So Dr. Ambedkar gives these 2 invaluable gifts to India, which will be remembered for centuries, and we are safe in that constitution. So today I found myself so happy in this tenure of my life that I have been given this opportunity to speak some words regarding such a great personality, and I thought is the culmination of my any punya kamma from the previous life. I give thanks so many sadhuwa to Bhante Sivli, P. Sivli Thero, General Secretary of the Mahabodhi Society, Kiran Lama, Vimlender ji, and Justice Chittatos Mukherjee ji, all who participated on the event. So, with these words, I conclude my words. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Continuing with our speakers, I would now like to invite our student speakers. That is first Sakshi Pandey from the Mahabodhi Inter College, Class 11, Sarnath, Varanasi. Sakshi Pandey.
Namo Buddhaya, most venerable Bhikkhu Mahasam, Honorable Mr. Justice Chittatosh Mukherjee, Honorable Nangzie Dorji, and my respected principal sir and teachers, I feel honored in congratulating you on the pious occasion of the 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. I also want to myself to this greatest personality be remembered by the greatest person of India for the great services of humankind. Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 at Mahau, Madhya Pradesh in India. His father's name was Ramji Maloji Sakpal, who was an army officer in British Indian Army, and his mother name was Bhimabai Sakpal. He belongs to a Marathi family. Once his father retired from army, they moved to Satara, where his mother passed away. After 4 years of his mother died, his father remarried and the family relocated to Bombay. In 1906, when he was only 15 years old, he was married to a 9-year-old girl named Ramabai. In 1912, his father passed away in Bombay. Ambedkar had a difficult time in his childhood because he faced caste discrimination. When he was in army school, his teachers usually made a separate classroom. Sometimes Ambedkar and other low caste students were even asked to sit outside of the classroom. It might cause problem if high class students were mixed up with low caste students. He used to drink water with the help of peon, as he and other low caste students were not allowed to touch anything. In 1912, he obtained his degree in economics and political science. In 1913, he moved to United States as he was awarded a scholarship for 3 years. In 1915, he majored in sociology, history, philosophy, and economics. In his early career, he was an economist, professor, activist. He famously said to Dalits that bears immense importance today to educate, agitate, and organize. In fact, he is known to have said once that education was most important than temple entry for the down people. He elected as the law minister of the government of India, and he played a leading part in framing the Constitution of India, outlining discrimination against untouchability, and skillfully steered it through the assembly. He resigned in 1951 because of the lack of influence in the government. In 14th October 1956, in despair because of the perpetuation of untouchability in the Hindu doctrine, he renounced Hinduism and became Buddhist. Together, about 2 lakh Dalit fellows at a ceremony in Nagpur. In 1914, he suffered from diabetes. After fighting 7 years from diabetes, he died in his sleep on 6th December 1956. Thank you. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Bhim, Jai Bharat.
I would now invite Anurag Padi, Class 12 from the Mahabodhi Society Public School, Bhubaneswar, Orissa.
Sarvebhyah Namo Namaha. Vibes among us on this auspicious day of Ambedkar Jayanti. I would like to wish everyone a very good evening. It's an honor to introduce myself. I am Anurag Padi, a student of Standard 12 from MBS Public School, Bhubaneswar, here to share my conviction in the vision of the visionary Dr. Ambedkar. Popularly known as Baba Sahib, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was born in an untouchable Mahar caste. Throughout his life,
पता नहीं इसमें क्या हो जाए सोनिया जी
dreamt of India, wherein the vast multitude of
फिर कुछ हो गया
India would enjoy liberty, equality, fraternity, and freedom, along with the equality of opportunity. He stood for the casteless and classless society, and that's why the preamble of the Indian Constitution stresses on equality and fraternity among the citizens. He was often known as the voice of the suppressed. He believed that only education could emancipate the people from the social evils and superstitions. India ought to be a modern and developed country. He wanted to reform the social system through radical change, but believed that it should not come through violence and bloodshed. He dreamt of an India where social justice should prevail. There should not be a place for economic exploitation in India. For him, the ideal political system where social democracy should precede political democracy. His philosophy was preoccupied with social improvement, political illumination, and spiritual awakening. The economic well-being of the downtrodden people is the only way to achieve all these attributes. He had envisioned an India where a citizen could enjoy human rights, gender equality, the dignity of the individual, socio-economic justice, the promotion of social progress, and better standards of life in peace and security in all spheres of human life. He clearly said that he wanted all the people of India to consider themselves Indian and only Indians. Dr. Ambedkar took three words from the French Revolution: liberty, equality, and fraternity. These words, included in the core of the Constitution, also deeply influenced his political and social philosophy. Being a philanthropic, kind, and generous social reformer, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was much pained to see the disgraceful and tragic condition and low status of women in society. He was a torchbearer in the direction of the social upliftment of women in general, and Hindu women in particular. He wanted to see a social reform approach in the context of the status of women. According to him, the progress of society is measured by the status and progress of women. Dr. Ambedkar was a far-sighted person who could sense the future of the nation. He was well aware of the dilemmas that the nation might face in the future and the solutions to those problems. His vision for India can be clearly seen in our Constitution of India and the smoothness with which our nation is running now. The vision and ideology of Dr. Ambedkar were clear and straightforward. While others were dreaming of British free India, Dr. Ambedkar was working on how to keep our nation free from outer exploitation forever. And he knew that this could be achieved by drafting an appropriate constitution on whose track the nation will run. Therefore, on this Ambedkar Jayanti, let's recognize the great work and contribution of Dr. Ambedkar for our nation. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat. Dhanyavad.
Very well said, Anurag. Our next student I invite, Archana Yadav, class 12 from the Mahabodhi Inter College, Sarnath, Varanasi. Archana Yadav.
परम पूज्य मुख्य अतिथि महोदय, समादरणीय मुख्य तथा देश विदेश से जुड़े अन्य सभी सम्मानित श्रेष्ठ सदस्यगण, आज हम सभी लोग बाबा साहेब डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी के 131वीं जयंती मनाने के लिए एकत्रित हुए हैं। आज इस पावन पर्व पर मैं अर्चना यादव महाबोधि इंटर कॉलेज सारनाथ की 12वीं बायो ग्रुप की छात्रा आप सबके समक्ष बाबा साहेब के बारे में अपना कुछ विचार रख रही हूँ। डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर को बाबा साहेब के नाम से भी जाना जाता था। वे भारतीय अर्थशास्त्री, न्यायवादी, राजनेता, लेखक, दार्शनिक और समाज सुधारक थे। जाति प्रतिबंधों और अस्पृश्यता जैसी सामाजिक बुराइयों को खत्म करने के लिए उनका प्रयास उल्लेखनीय रहा। अपने पूरे जीवन काल में सामाजिक रूप से पिछड़े वर्गों और दलितों के अधिकारों के लिए लड़े। उन्हें जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी के कैबिनेट में भारत के पहले कानून मंत्री के रूप में नियुक्त किया गया। 1990 में अंबेडकर जी के मरणोपरांत उन्हें भारत रत्न पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया। भीमराव अंबेडकर जी रामजी मालोजी सकपाल के पुत्र तथा इनकी माता का नाम भीमाबाई था। उनका जन्म 14 अप्रैल 1891 को महू सेना छावनी केंद्रीय प्रांत सांसद महाराष्ट्र में हुआ था। इनके पिता भारतीय सेना में एक सूबेदार थे। इनका जन्म गरीब दलित परिवार में हुआ था, जिसके कारण उन्हें बचपन से ही जातिगत भेदभाव और अपमान का सामना करना पड़ता था। अंबेडकर जी के पूर्वज तथा इनके पिता ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी में बहुत समय से कार्यरत रहे हैं। उन्हें ब्राह्मणों और जाति विशेष अधिकार प्राप्त समाज के उच्च वर्गों से अलग कक्षा में बाहर बैठाया जाता था। यहाँ तक कि जब उन्हें प्यास लगती थी तो उन्हें पानी पीने के लिए चपरासी के द्वारा पानी ऊपर से डाला जाता था, क्योंकि उन्हें पानी और पानी के बर्तन को छूने की अनुमति नहीं थी। उन्होंने अपने लेखन चपरासी नहीं तो पानी नहीं में इसका वर्णन किया है। अंबेडकर जी को आर्मी स्कूल के साथ साथ हर जगह समाज और अलगाव अपमान का सामना करना पड़ा। डॉक्टर भीमराव जी अंबेडकर अपनी गरीबी के बावजूद डॉक्टर भीमराव ने अपने प्रयासों और समर्पण के साथ अपनी पीढ़ी को शिक्षित बनाने के लिए आगे बढ़ते रहे। वे विदेशों में अर्थशास्त्र के डायरेक्टर डिग्री प्राप्त करने वाले पहले भारतीय थे। भारत की आजादी के लिए सरकार ने इन्हें आमंत्रित किया। डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर ने स्वतंत्र भारत के पहले कानून मंत्री के रूप में यह पद को संभाला। 29 अगस्त 1947 को उनकी अध्यक्षता में 2 वर्ष 11 माह 18 दिन के बाद संविधान बनकर तैयार हुआ। निर्माण समिति के अध्यक्ष होने के नाते संविधान की वास्तुकार रूप देने के लिए उन्होंने महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई। यह जो संविधान तैयार किया गया था, यह पहला सामाजिक दस्तावेज था। अंबेडकर द्वारा तैयार किए गए प्रावधानों ने भारत के नागरिकों के लिए संवैधानिक आश्वासन और नागरिक स्वतंत्रता की सुरक्षा प्रदान की। जाति भेदभाव को खत्म करने के लिए डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही। जाति व्यवस्था एक ऐसी प्रणाली है जिसमें एक व्यक्ति की स्थिति, कर्तव्यों, अधिकारों का भेद किसी विशेष समूह के किसी व्यक्ति के जन्म के आधार पर किया जाता है। यह सामाजिक असमानता का कठोर रूप है। वे सभी समुदाय की एकाग्रता में विश्वास रखते थे। ग्रेज इन में बार कोर्स करने के बाद इन्होंने अपनी कानून व्यवसाय को शुरू किया। उन्होंने जातिगत भेदभाव के मामलों की वकालत के लिए अपना अद्भुत कौशल दिखाया। ब्राह्मणों के खिलाफ और गैर ब्राह्मणों के खिलाफ उन्होंने रक्षा करने के लिए उनकी जीत ने उनके भविष्य की लड़ाइयों की आधारशिला की स्थापना की। बाबा साहेब ने दलितों के पूर्ण अधिकार के लिए कई आंदोलनों की शुरुआत की। ये आधुनिक तकनीकी के पक्षधर थे। आर्थिक मुश्किलों के साथ ही उन्हें हिंदू धर्म की कुरीतियों का सामना करना पड़ा और उन्होंने इन कुरीतियों को दूर करने का संपूर्ण प्रयास किया। उसके बाद 14 अक्टूबर सन 1956 ईस्वी में उन्होंने बौद्ध धर्म धारण किया। उनका मानना था कि मानव प्रजाति का लक्ष्य अपनी सोच को सुधारना है। डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी पूरे विश्व में अपनी पहचान और डिग्रियों के लिए जाने जाते हैं। कहा जाता है कि 9 भाषाओं के जानकार थे और इनके पास कुल 32 डिग्रियां थी। डॉक्टर अंबेडकर को आधुनिक भारत के सबसे ओजस्वी लेखकों में से एक माना जाता है। विश्व के लगभग हर देश में इनके प्रशंसक मौजूद हैं। डॉक्टर अंबेडकर की सबसे प्रसिद्ध पुस्तक जाति का उच्छेद है। इनके द्वारा अनेक पुस्तकें लिखी गई हैं, जिनमें भारत का अंश अंश, भारत में संचार, मैं हूं अंबेडकर, भगवान बुद्ध और उनका धर्म आदि पुस्तकें हैं। डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर की मृत्यु 6 दिसंबर 1956 ईस्वी को दिल्ली में हुई थी। इसका कारण मधुमेह रोग बताया जाता है, परंतु वास्तविक रूप से कैसे हुई इसकी जानकारी नहीं है। ऐसे महान पुरुष को आज हम सभी स्मरण कर रहे हैं और उनके द्वारा किए गए कार्य आजीवन हम आभारी रहेंगे। महान समाज सुधारक अंबेडकर जी के द्वारा कहे गए इस कथन से मैं अपने उद्बोधन को समाप्त करना चाहूंगी, जो गतिशील समाजवादी एवं समृद्ध भारत को और भी सशक्त बनाने की क्षमता है। बाबा साहेब कहते हैं, जब तक हम अपनी 3 तरह से शुद्धिकरण नहीं करते हैं, तब तक हमारी स्थायी नहीं हो सकती है। हमें अपने आचरण में सुधार लाना होगा, अपने बोलचाल का तरीका बदल और विचारों में दृढ़ता लानी होगी। जय भीम, जय भारत।
बहुत बहुत साधुवाद अर्चना। Our next speaker, Titi Mishra from Mahabodhi Public School, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, class 12. Titi Mishra.
A very good evening to all the esteemed dignitaries on the forum. I am Titi Mishra, a student of class 12 at MBS Public School, Bhubaneswar. On the occasion of Ambedkar Jayanti, I will be speaking on the life of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. My philosophy may be enshrined in 3 words: liberty, equality, and fraternity, said Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who struggled against caste-based discrimination. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was born on the 14th of April 1891 in the military cantonment of Mao, where his father served in the army as a subedar. Ambedkar was born into a Mahar, Dalit caste, who were treated as untouchables and subjected to the then prevalent socio-economic discrimination against the lower strata of the society. As a result of this discrimination, Ambedkar and other untouchable children were segregated and given little help by the teachers. They were also not allowed to sit in the class or drink water directly from the vessel containing the water. When Dr. Ambedkar's mother passed away, he and his siblings had to live under difficult circumstances with their paternal aunt. In 1897, Ambedkar became the only untouchable to get enrolled at the Elphinstone High School in Bombay. In 1912, he obtained his degree in political science and economics from the University of Bombay and was employed by the Baroda state government. In 1915, he majored in economics, sociology, history, philosophy, and anthropology from Columbia University through a scholarship. He then completed his master's degree, which was awarded to him by the University of London. As the architect of our Constitution, he emphasized that the development of an individual and the development of the society are synchronous, that the society cannot excel without the help of an individual and vice versa. A major challenge in the path of India's societal development has been the stratification due to caste. The caste system deprived many generations of values like equity, equality, individual dignity, and social justice. Dr. Ambedkar's broad vision restored the rights of the deprived classes. As a strong believer of socialism, he strongly advocated social justice by dividing the social, political, and economic resources of the country equally. He made all the efforts to remove inequalities through law and public conscience. He had a great vision for a sustainable society. He made provisions for the marginalized groups to represent themselves while framing the public policy. He emphasized on social inclusion of the marginalized groups in the process of governance to promote their self-confidence, which ultimately prevents dehumanization. The directive principle of state policy was aligned to Dr. Ambedkar's vision. His main contribution into the empowerment of the downtrodden came through the Indian Constitution. At the same time, he emphasized on the importance of education as a means of empowerment. Educate, organize, and agitate were the three watchwords given by Dr. Ambedkar. He said, education is something which ought to be brought within the reach of everyone. He emphasized on secular education for social emancipation. The basic theme of his philosophy of education was inculcating the values of liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, and moral character. Thus, Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts on education are significant even today. Today, our Constitution assures free and compulsory education for both the marginalized and non-marginalized groups. However, it is important to have a check on the dropout rates of students who belong to the ST-SC category too. He made all provisions in our Constitution to ensure that every child who is the portal of a primary school does leave it only at a stage when he or she becomes literate and continues to be literate throughout his or her life. Jai Hind, Jai Bhim, thank you.
Very well deliberated, Stiti. Thank you so much. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, in one of his articles, Buddha and the Future of His Religion, in the concluding para, he has mentioned, time has come. What is wanted is will. If the countries which are Buddhist can develop the will to spread Buddhism, the task of spreading Buddhism will not be difficult. They must realize that the duty of a Buddhist is not merely to be a good Buddhist. His duty is to spread Buddhism. They must believe that to spread Buddhism is to serve mankind. Concluding with our speakers this evening for the international webinar paying homage on the 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, I would now invite our presiding Sir, Dr. Revanta Vikram Singh, the Director of the Vivekananda Cultural Center, High Commission of India in Sri Lanka, to please deliver your presidential address. Dr. Revanta Vikram Singh.
Thank you, Kiranji. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Most Venerable Mahasangha, distinguished office bearers of Mahabodhi Society of India, Dhamma brothers and sisters, and dear students. Greetings of Sri Lankan New Year and Ambedkar Jayanti to all of you. On the birth anniversary of the architect of the Constitution of India, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, I extend my heartiest congratulations and best wishes to all the fellow brothers and sisters. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was best known as a social reformer who campaigned against social discrimination of all kinds. I bow to Bharat Ratna Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar on Ambedkar Jayanti. His struggle to bring the marginalized sections of the society into the mainstream will continue to be an example for every generation. It was an honor to hear the words of wisdom from Honorable Justice Chitatosh Mukherjee ji today, who enlightened us on Dr. Ambedkar's role in ensuring socio-economic and educational rights to all. The presidential address by Venerable talked about close relationship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Mahabodhi Society of India and Buddhism. Dr. Mahendra Singh ji, Vice President and Trustee of Mahabodhi Society of India, presented a historical perspective of role and contribution of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in making of modern India. I would like to also appreciate the deliberation of student speakers, Sakshi, Archana, Anurag, and Stiti Mishra, who have very clearly brought out the bio profile, I would say, of Dr. Ambedkar. Students, this is your first step towards understanding Dr. Ambedkar and his message. And I would hope that you will continue to understand him and his message further and take his message to people at large. Dear Dhamma brothers and sisters and dear students, all through his inspiring life, Dr. Ambedkar charted his unique path in the midst of extreme adversity and earned commendations for his extraordinary and multifaceted achievements. Dr. Ambedkar was an ardent advocate of human rights who set up the Bahishkrit Hitkarni Sabha with the aim of improving the socio-economic status of the people of deprived communities of India and for the spread of education amongst them. Dr. Ambedkar envisioned a better and just society and fought for it throughout his life. He wanted to create a modern India where there would be no prejudice on the basis of caste or any other reason or factor, where women and communities subjected to backwardness for centuries would enjoy equity of socio-economic rights. Born on 14th April 1891, Baba Ambedkar was an Indian jurist, economist, and politician, and one of the first social reformers who talked about equal rights for all and who talked against social discrimination of all kinds, who supported the rights for the women and also the rights of the workers. He was one of the first person in India to campaign for universal franchise before the South Borough Commission as well as Simon Commission later on for all Indians without gender, caste and class bias. It was Dr. Ambedkar who played a major role for the maternity benefit bills for the factory women workers, in the Bombay legislature in July 1928. In fact, it was the first maternity benefit act which was passed in India. The 20th century saw a revival of Buddhism in Sri Lanka and India. In both our countries, Buddhism became an instrument of national awakening. Sri Lanka played a very important role in Dr. Ambedkar's conversion to Buddhism. Dr. Ambedkar arrived in Sri Lanka in May 1950 to attend the inaugural meeting of the World Fellowship of Buddhists in Colombo. As he had not become a Buddhist by then, he did not address the formal session of the conference. However, it is believed that the objective of his visit was to observe Buddhist ceremonies and rituals in his pristine purity in Sri Lanka. Ambedkar ji also addressed the Young Men's Buddhist Association of Colombo during his visit. His visit to Sri Lanka motivated him to publish his Bodh Puja Path or Buddhist worship, or short collection of texts in Pali, which was also translated in Marathi. Dr. Ambedkar on several occasions consulted many Sri Lankan Buddhist monks, including Venerable Hamalava Satyatissa Thero, who was a resident in India, on the conversion program he was going to launch. Thus, after 6 years of his visit to Sri Lanka, we notice that Dr. Ambedkar converted to Buddhism in 1956 on October 14th, with millions of his followers. I rest my speech here with these few words, as we have electricity problem in Sri Lanka. As you might be aware, that Sri Lanka is going through a very difficult time. With these few words, I rest my speech and again thank the Mahabodhi Society of India for inviting me for this webinar. Also, once again, greetings of Ambedkar Jayanti and the Sri Lankan New Year, which is being celebrated today, to all my Dhamma brothers and sisters. I congratulate the Mahabodhi Society for bringing towards eminent national and international scholars on this platform. More specifically, I would like to congratulate them for involving school children in such deliberation and discussion. This will definitely prepare them for future responsibilities. Namo Buddhaya. Thank you once again to all.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Kiran Lamaji, with permission from the chairman of this session, I would like to inform all August gathering that Most Venerable Bhikkhuni Dhammanand has just joined this webinar. So can we allow her to present herself with the permission of the chairman?
Yeah.
So Dhammanand, Most Venerable Dhammanand, you can open your video, and if you can say something on behalf of yourself, otherwise I can present your video, what you have already sent to me. Bhikkhuni Dhammanandji.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, greetings to Mahasangha, my brothers and sisters. Once again, I am very joyful to see your faces, even though only through the screen. I prepared in the earlier correspondence with Professor Bimalendra, I prepared my talk on the historical journey of the Bhikkhunis from India and beyond. I think it is very interesting. And had I known earlier, I would have prepared to speak about Dr. Ambedkar, because I'm sure if he lived longer, sure he would, he was supporting women, as we all know. And when we talk about the ordination of women now in the present time, if he was alive, I'm sure he would be one of the great supporter. But in my own presentation, allow me to show you the route, how the Bhikkhunis in the past have traveled, have been what you call Buddhist ambassador in the past and up till present. Can I share with you my video? The host, yes, thank you. Yeah, Bimalendra ji, please share the video.
Okay. धम्मानंद जी को होस्ट बना दीजिएगा. Just wait for 1 minute. You are going to be made as a co-host. Now you can share the screen.
My respect to Mahasangha and my respect to Venerable Pante Sivali. My greetings to my brother.
Screen is not coming.
Share screen. Okay. Share sound.
Share sound here. Yeah.
Okay.
My respect to Mahasangha and my respect to Venerable Pante Sivali. My greetings to my brothers and sisters. I am speaking on the historical journey of the Bhikkhuni in India and beyond. This is for Mahabodhi Society of India conference. I would like to begin soon after the enlightenment of the Buddha. The Buddha encountered Mara. And in this conversation, the Buddha expressed his commitment to establish the Bhikkhuni Sangha. No, not only the Bhikkhuni Sangha, the fourfold Buddhist communities. That is, the Bhikkhus, Bhikkhunis, Upasaka, and Upasika. This reference, interestingly, it does not appear in the early part of his mission. The actual happening is in the early part of his mission, but the way that the Tripitaka was recorded, you could not find it in any other sutra, but it appears in Mahaparinirvana Sutra, which is at the end. But Mahaparinirvana Sutra is the longest, so please look in Digha Nikaya in the sutra. So therefore, the idea of having both the Bhikkhu Sangha and the Bhikkhuni Sangha was there from the very beginning of the Buddha's mission. I would say the very first year after his enlightenment. Immediately after his enlightenment, the Buddha almost was able to form the Bhikkhu Sangha almost immediately. You remember that after his enlightenment, as he approached the 5 Panchavakkhya, the first one who was enlightened was Gontanya. And when Gontanya actually see the Buddha exclaim, Anyasi Gontanya. Gontanya has seen now with his own eyes. So, that's the first Bhikkhu who became enlightened. And the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one happened one after another. So within the first week, we already got the Bhikkhu Sangha. And then the Buddha visited his father, King Suttotana, second time. At that time, his father was already very ill. The Buddha went there to visit his father, his ailing father, and to raise him physically and spiritually. While giving him treatment, the Buddha also gave Dharma talk. Eventually, the king was enlightened. Was his wife, the Queen Mahapajapati. She also listened to the Dharma talk that the Buddha was giving to the King Suttotana. When King Suttotana became enlightened, she became Sotapanna. She already entered the stream of enlightenment. So after the royal cremation, the Buddha was preparing to leave for Vesali. He was preparing to leave with his Bhikkhu Sangha. At this time, the queen approached. She had now done her duty as the queen, as the wife, and now she is free. So she approached the Buddha and requested him that she would like also to join his Sangha. The Buddha refused, not only once but 3 times. But in the text, at least in the Pali text, there was no reason given why he did not allow her to join the Sangha. He simply said, Gautami, please do not entertain the idea of going to homeless life. And then the Buddha left for Vesali with the retinue of the Bhikkhu Sangha. We try to understand, why the Buddha, what was the reason behind the Buddha's mind. Possibly he did not want the queen to be exposed to hardship. To lead a monastic life, maybe the queen did not realize that actually it was very hard. Apart from begging, literally begging from one house to another, she had to walk bare feet. Imagine the life of comfort in the palace, and now she wanted to go in a monastic lifestyle. It's very hard. So the Buddha simply said, please do not ask so. Please don't entertain that kind of idea. So it is purely out of compassion from the Buddha. However, after the Buddha left for Vesali, Queen Mahapajapati shaved her head and put on saffron robes just like the Buddha. And not she herself, but also with a large group of the Sakyani, the women from the Sakya clan. Later in the commentaries, they gave this figure of 500. Every time when you see 500, it means large number. And she walked together with all these ladies from the palace. She walked on foot from Kapilavastu. Now you have to cross the border. Now you have Nepal and you have India on the other side. From Kapilavastu to Vesali. That distance is 372 kilometers on foot. So that is the first historical journey of the Bhikkhunis. By the time she arrived in Vesali, where the Buddha was staying, she did not enter. She did not enter because she was afraid that already the Buddha refused her to join the order, and now she arrived. So she was waiting outside, and it was Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda approached her and asked what was her wish, and she explained to Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda was mediating. He went outside to talk to the queen, and then he returned to the Buddha inside, inside this Gutakara, the place where the Buddha was staying. And then again, whenever Ananda asked the Buddha, and the Buddha still insisted that he did not allow her because he did not think that she should not entertain this idea of leading homeless life. And finally, whenever Ananda asked Pariyayena, the Pali word is Pariyayena, asked the other way, is it because the women cannot be enlightened? The Buddha said, no, Ananda, women can be enlightened. They can experience the 4 stages of enlightenment. And because of that, the Buddha eventually allowed the women to join the order. Of course, at this time, Garudama, the 8th Garudama was introduced. Just to make the story short, this is first time that women can join the order of the Buddha. The Bhikkhuni started. The Bhikkhuni started when the Bhikkhu Sangha was already established for 5 years. So the Buddha spent altogether 45 years from the time he was enlightened until the time of Mahaparinirvana. But during these 45 years, the 40 years, he already had both Bhikkhu Sangha and Bhikkhuni Sangha. The Bhikkhuni spread to many different locations in that time. From the text, we could discover that, of course, Venerable Mahapajapati would have returned to Kapilavastu because we found verses which she was talking to the Buddha in Kapilavastu. In Rajgir, you also find the Bhikkhunis there. In Sravasti, you also find the Bhikkhunis there. And in Vesali, of course, the place where the Bhikkhuni started. So at least we have these major cities, where we can find, where we can locate the Bhikkhunis. And now I jump to Ashoka's time. Ashoka's time is the 3rd century BC. Very interesting. Before he became king, while he was a crown prince, he was based in Ujjaini. And he had a wife. His wife's name was Devi or Videhi. And the place where they stay was in Videsa. Videsa is a place near Sanji. Now you will click why we have many Bhikkhuni aramas discovered archaeologically to confirm that in this area, in this Sanji area, there were many Bhikkhuni aramas. Then I skip to the second journey of the Bhikkhunis. During this time, King Ashoka was sending out Dhammadutta like ambassador, Buddhist ambassador to different region, to 9 different routes. And one particular one to the south of India, he sent his own son, that is Venerable Mahinda. Venerable Mahinda went from Sanji to Sri Lanka. You will not be surprised then why the stupa in Anuradhapura and in Sri Lanka look very much like the stupa in Sanji. You see this connection way back in the 3rd century BC. And now Venerable Mahinda was very successful in teaching the non-Buddhists. The Sri Lankan were, at that time they were still non-Buddhists. He converted them to Buddhism. And the second, I think it was in his second Dharma talk, the lady of the palace became enlightened. The Princess Anula. Princess Anula was the very first Sri Lankan person who was entered Sotapanna. She became Sotapanna, and because of this, she asked if she could be ordained. She wanted to be ordained just like Venerable Mahinda. So Venerable Mahinda had to send for his sister. His sister was Princess Sankamitta. So King Ashoka sent his daughter, Venerable Sankamitta, to Sri Lanka. This is a second journey of the Bhikkhunis from India to Sri Lanka. And Venerable Sankamitta actually is the first international Dhammadutta, first international ambassador, Buddhist ambassador, taking Buddhist lineage from India to Sri Lanka. It's very moving when the king King Ashoka himself, traveled with her on land until she boarded the ship. And he was watching there until the ship departed so that he could not see the ship anymore. Very moving incident, because once you travel that kind of long distance, very seldom that you would return. So both Venerable Mahinda and Venerable Sankamita stayed in Sri Lanka until they passed away. At the year when he left he was 32 years old, and then he passed away at the age of 80. So both brothers and sisters stayed in Sri Lanka to establish Buddhism in Sri Lanka, which was then not yet a Buddhist, but they converted them to Buddhist, and that's how Buddhism started in the land in Sri Lanka, became very important. The next connection that I would like to talk about is a Chinese pilgrim, a Fa Hien, a Chinese monk, Fa Hien. He was born during 337 AD, and he died 422 AD. During this time, Fa Hien traveled from China to India on foot, across China to India like that. But on his return, he went by sea, and he came to Sri Lanka. Very important information, because it was in Sri Lanka that he saw many bhikkhunis. And upon his return, he informed the Chinese women who were actually waiting for ordination. He informed them that he saw many bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka. So that was very important information for those Chinese women. And eventually they invited the Sri Lankan bhikkhunis to travel to China and to establish the bhikkhuni lineage. This happened in the year 433 AD. That was when Venerable Devasara and her group, traveled from Sri Lanka by sea. The ship that took them from Sri Lanka to India, the ship was a Nandi, or maybe the name of the owner of the ship is Nandi. And that was how they established the Bhikkhuni Sangha. They gave ordination to 300 Chinese women. The place was Southern Forest Monastery in Nanking. So this is recorded as a history. I consider this second international Buddhist ambassador by Bhikkhuni. The Bhikkhuni lineage established in China up till today, continue up till today. I mentioned yet another interesting incident, that is Venerable I Ching. Venerable I Ching was born, the year he was born was 635 AD, and he died 713 AD. He was very moved, inspired. He was inspired by Venerable Fa Hien. So again he made a travel. He traveled from from China to India, and he stopped in Indonesia. Again, when I Ching mentioned about Sumatra, he spent so many years, something like 25 years in his traveling. And by the time he returned to China, it was the time of the queen. You remember that emperor, the female emperor, Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian was the king, female king of China at that time. So she really celebrated upon his return. The important message that I would like to share with you here was in Indonesia. Whenever I Ching mentioned about the bhikkhunis, and when you see Borobudur, when you go and see Borobudur, on the second level, on the outer panel, you will see bhikkhuni carved on the stone. That was the story of Sudanta. Sudanta was searching for his spiritual journey. Sudanta went to at least 77 teachers, and among these 77 teachers, one of them was a bhikkhuni, clearly on Borobudur. So the existence of bhikkhuni, referred to. Possibly, maybe in Indonesia they had Bhikkhuni, or maybe it is only from this narrative of Sudanta and his journey, his spiritual journey, searching, looking for teachers, and one of his teachers was a Bhikkhuni. So this is the interesting mission that the Bhikkhunis in the past made. Last but not the least, I would like to mention about Siam Vangsa. Siam Vangsa, the Sri Lankan try to continue the lineage of the Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis. And in the year 1752, the Sri Lankan king sent envoy, to Thailand and asked for the lineage of the Bhikkhus. And the Thai king sent Venerable Upali along with 25 Bhikkhus to start the Bhikkhu lineage in Sri Lanka. But because Thailand never had Bhikkhunis, so they could not revive the Bhikkhuni lineage as well. However, Venerable Upali was successful to revive the lineage of the Bhikkhus in Sri Lanka. That's why you have Siam Vangsa. Siam Vangsa started from 1753 and continued up till present. Luckily, this transmission of the lineage happened in the year 1753. 14 years after that, the Burmese sacked our capital, and we really lost the lineage in Ayutthaya itself. So luckily, Siam Vangsa lineage was established in Sri Lanka before that time. So this is yet another connection, but without the Bhikkhuni, because there were no Bhikkhuni in Thailand. You see the Buddhist journey, the historical journey of both the Bhikkhus and the Bhikkhunis from India to beyond. Very colorful, very interesting. I am just giving you only gist of what I discovered, and there are yet many details to be filled in later on. However, thank you so much for giving me the time to share with you what I have discovered, and I hope that in the future we will have more time to go into details of our discussion today. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We have completed almost all our speakers except for Ms. Namrata Chadda, the governing body member of the Mahabodhi Society, as she had some other engagements, so she had to leave our webinar. Now, coming to a close of this international webinar on vision and mission of Bharat Ratna Dr. B.R. Ambedkar for India on his 131st birthday, organized by the Mahabodhi Society of India in collaboration with the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, the High Commission of Sri Lanka, India in Colombo, and the Anagarika Dharmapala International Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies. I would now invite Dr. Kailash Prasad, our governing body member, to please propose the vote of thanks.
Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim. On behalf of the Mahabodhi Society of India, now I am here to express thankfulness and gratitude to all who have participated in this program. First of all, may I take the opportunity of expressing thankfulness and gratitude toward our Honorable Justice Chittatosh Mukherjee, the former Chief Justice of Calcutta and Bombay High Courts, and now patron of Mahabodhi Society. He is now 93-year-old, but very active today, and he is able to give speeches and telling many things which he has experienced. He also informed us that he has seen personally Dr. Ambedkar when he was taken in the first cabinet minister. And I have the fortune to listen to Honorable Justice Chittatosh Mukherjee on many occasions in the Mahabodhi Society of India, presiding over many meetings, very important meetings here. So I am very thankful to Honorable Justice Mukherjee, who also comes in the lineage of the great founders of the Mahabodhi Society like Ashutosh Mukherjee, Shama Prasad Mukherjee, and now may I express my thankfulness to Bhikkhuni Dhammananda, who had just spoken, though her speech was not on B.R. Ambedkar, but she spoke on the journey of the Bhikkhuni. Thailand, there are many people who speak or who know about Ambedkar. Today we had a Bodh Gaya, we had a procession at Bodh Gaya, which was taken by some Thai organization, Mussel in the temple. They carried the Ambedkar statue through their temple, from their temple to the main temple, and had a meeting there. One Thai organization also installed a statue of Dr. Ambedkar here. I have met a Thai scholar, Sulakshi Raksha, who has written a book on Ambedkar, and he has stated, or he has told Ambedkar as a liberator of downtrodden and liberator of untouchables. That book is very unique. So he comes from Thailand. Now, may I express my gratitude to the co-organizer of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center from Colombo, Director, Shri or Dr. Revant Vikram Singh. And I am also very much thankful to the Vice President of Mahabodhi Society and Trustee of Mahabodhi Society, Dr. Mahendra Singh Ji, for giving very good description, very good information for Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, talking about his working style, how hard working he was, that he worked even for 17 and 18 hours a day. And also, I am very much thankful to our Professor Vimalendra Kumar, Professor BHU, for giving very nice welcome address and giving details of all speakers. And I express my thankfulness to Shri Kiran Lamaji for giving very good introduction of the event and invocation. And also to the students, especially the students of Mahabodhi Inter College Sarnath, Sakshi Pandey and Archana Yadav, and the students of Mahabodhi Society Public School Bhubaneswar, Anurag Padi and Sthiti Mishra. All they get very good, delivered very good talk on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So we had a very good day today of seeing or witnessing many events on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I am especially very much thankful to and grateful to our General Secretary, Most Venerable P. Shivali Thero, who also informed us that the year of the foundation of the Mahabodhi Society and the birth year of the Baba Saheb Bhim Rao Ambedkar was same, is 1891. Baba Saheb was born in April month. Mahabodhi Society was established in May month. So, but the year is same, and both worked for the promotion of Buddhism in India and also in other countries. So this is a very good event today, very good talk organized by the Mahabodhi Society in collaboration with the Swami Vivekananda Center, Colombo, the High Commission of Sri Lanka. So I think thank everyone. If I forgot any names, please excuse me. But whoever have participated, even listeners, yes, listeners or who have listened to our program anyway, they all deserve our thankfulness. I am very much grateful to all, thankful to all. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
On behalf of Mahabodhi Society, I also thank our Dr. Kailas Prasad ji, governing body member, for proposing vote of thanks, as well as I am also thankful to our treasurer, Mahabodhi Society of India, Deepak Kumar Chaudhary ji, as well as Assistant Treasurer of Mahabodhi Society of India, Mrs. Alpana Basuji, for sparing their valuable time to be present in this international webinar. We are also thankful to our Dr. Surendra Kumar Mahapatra ji, who was present in this webinar for some time, but still I am not seeing him. But on behalf of our Mahabodhi Society of India, I feel myself privileged, as well as we are thankful to him for his presence also. And all Dhamma bearers, as well as Dhamma friends, brothers, sisters. And lastly, it was, I think, confusion on part of our Mahabodhi Society of India, giving letter to our most venerable Bhikkhuni Dhammanand. We had given her time at 4 o'clock Indian Standard Time, but I think she has taken time Thailand time. So she has joined at 5:30, 1 hour 30 minutes late. So it was on part of our email communications. So kindly don't take it otherwise. So we feel very sorry, as well as for joining your webinar. We are very much thankful to most venerable Bhikkhuni Dhammanand. Thank you very much.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So, may I request most venerable Shivrit Heroji kindly give us blessings in the form of Mangal Path or chanting some blessings.
Yeah, we are going to conclude, and I myself also express gratefulness to all our speakers and the all participants and our students. Very much encouraging. We are very happy to listen our students. Thank for teachers who trained them. It's very good. And I, on behalf of Mahabodhi Society of India, also congratulate our students and to all our speakers. A wonderful deliberation. We looking forward to continue this kind of programs in a kind of webinar. So joint many students in different programs, so they can cultivate their confidence and leadership, and as an orator and a speaker in the future generation is what we can help them. And with these few words, I thank you all the monks who are joining here, and I request now to join with me to chant and blessings for all our audience. Sabbitiyo vyajjantu sabbarogo nasatu mate bhavadvantarayo sukhe digayuko bhava bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata Sabba buddhanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sadhu sadhu Namo Buddhaya.
Nama Buddha to everybody. Nama Buddha to everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.